I'm pleased to introduce to the club Marc Ehrhardt. Marc's from New Orleans. He works for an organization that was formed actually earlier this year called Grow Incorporated, which is trying to spread the good news that I think most of us already know here about the importance and the integral nature of the oil and gas industry to the state of Louisiana. So please welcome Marc Ehrhardt.
Good afternoon. I always enjoy this. I think this may be the 40th presentation or so that we've made about the state's oil and gas industry and the economics and things about the industry that impacts not only how the state runs, but also the way of life of the 300,000 people working in it. We enjoy coming to be able to visit with folks who are living across the state. And Bill, my friend and my colleague, we've been going back and forth along I-10 for the most part for the last 6 months, talking about the state's oil and gas industry and why, as a people, we need to pay attention to it. And a lot of times what people will say is, you know, this is the first question I ever got from a news reporter. Mark, doesn't the people of the state, don't they know that the oil and gas industry is important to the economy? And it caught me by surprise because I was all ready to talk about why the industry is important. And the answer I gave her is, you know, not necessarily. And Louisiana has a long storied history and a relationship between oil and gas and the history of the state. And we've been through ups together and we've been through downs. And right now, Louisiana is in a high period. We're doing well. We're recognized as leaders when it comes to offshore oil production, when it comes to onshore oil production. Companies in Louisiana, many companies in this part of the state are thriving because of the work they're doing in the state's oil and gas industry. And what we realized when we were formed earlier this year is that, you know, in different places, there are small groups of people who are arguing whether the oil and gas industry is even important to Louisiana anymore. Do we need the oil and gas industry in the state? And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what's happened to other states when they've taken the same approach. And what we believe and what we are talking to folks about every day is not only do we need the oil and gas industry in Louisiana, it'd be very difficult for us to survive without it. And this state needs the jobs that the industry creates. And instead of us debating whether we need the industry or not, what we should be doing is cultivating the oil and gas industry, working with the communities we live in, with the companies that work in our communities to find out ways that they can add more jobs, bring more people here so that we can continue to grow as a state and remain a leader. What we were talking about in one of the things that we decided to put together in front of everyone, there's an executive summary of a study by Dr. Lauren Scott, who is a professor emeritus at LSU of economics, and he has done a lot of research in oil and gas and all the industries of the state. And he put together a study that was begun in the mid-90s, and it's been updated 5 times since. The most recent time was this summer, where we worked with him to develop what the latest numbers are in terms of the number of people who are working in the industry, how much taxes are paid, what kind of impact does the oil and gas industry make in every parish of the state, not just one area, but throughout the state. And he came back with some different things for us to consider. Alaska is moving down the list. There's less production taking place in Alaska than there has been decades prior. You see more states. Right now, according to Dr. Scott, there are 20 states that have active onshore or offshore oil exploration efforts going on right now. The state of South Carolina actually sent economic development folks to Louisiana to talk to them about how you can create infrastructure for offshore oil production in the event that at some point in time the government would allow drilling off the coast of the Atlantic. South Carolina sees the benefit. If you worked in the business, you know, we just have to walk down the street to find, we don't even have to leave this room to find people who have built their careers in the oil and gas industry. And if you were to ask somebody 10, 15, 20 years ago, South Carolina may be interested in how to get into the offshore production business, you know, they looked at you like you were from Mars. But that's where the competition is taking place. And as a people and as a state, we have to pay attention to that because the industry is too important to what we do here.